6 overlooked tree species can fix more nitrogen per hectare than most farmers will ever pour from a bag, and one has been measured depositing nearly 600 kilograms in a single year. We're ranking them from lowest to highest performer, scoring each on fixation rate, biomass output, resilience, and labor demand. From a desert survivor with roots plunging 12 meters deep to a cold climate shrub that laughs at -40, these perennials cover almost every growing zone on Earth. But before we reveal which species claim the #1 spot, let's lay out exactly how each was scored. In 10th place, every tree in this countdown was scored using a 4-part rubric designed to capture both biological performance and practical value. The ranking framework assigns 40% of each species score to nitrogen fixation and mineral uplift, 25% to biomass production and mulch potential, 20% to labor savings, and 15% to resilience, covering drought, fire, pest resistance, and lifespan. Each criterion is rated on a 0 to 5 scale, with higher scores reflecting stronger evidence from peer-reviewed 15N tracer studies, multi-year extension trials, or detailed on-farm logs. Data quality is tiered. Species with direct, replicated measurements receive full credit, while those with only anecdotal or regional reports are weighted accordingly. For example, if a tree's nitrogen fixation is measured at 390 kilograms per hectare per year, that value is converted to a 5 out of 5 for the fixation criterion, while a less documented rate might earn a 3. This approach ensures that every ranking reflects the best available evidence, and that later species scores remain directly comparable and defensible. 9. Labor-saving and management practicalities shape the true return on investment for nitrogen-fixing trees. Establishing a hectare of these perennials, factoring in site preparation, planting, and first-year weed control, demands between 40 and 60 person days. This initial outlay stands in contrast to the recurring routines of synthetic fertilizer programs, which typically require 5 to 8 person days per hectare each year for application, mixing, and record keeping. Once established, annual upkeep for these trees drops to just 10 to 20 person days per hectare, covering pruning, occasional watering, and periodic soil tests. The labor index, a practical scale from 0 to 10, quantifies this difference. Systems with well-chosen trees score in the moderate range, reflecting a manageable ongoing workload after the upfront push. Most notably, the break-even point for labor and input savings arrives by the 2nd or 3rd year, as fertilizer costs fall and the need for repeated synthetic applications disappears. For growers planning multi-year food forests, these benchmarks allow for realistic budgeting, making it possible to weigh one-time establishment labor against the promise of long-term, low-maintenance fertility. 8th place introduces a critical filter: resilience and regional suitability. Every nitrogen-fixing tree considered here was assessed across 4 resilience axes: tolerance to drought, fire, and frost, plus the risk of invasiveness. Climate envelopes define the safe planting zones for each species, with documented frost minima, drought indices, and fire tolerance classes forming the backbone of this matrix. For example, some trees withstand temperatures down to -30 degrees Celsius, while others falter below -5 degrees Celsius. Drought resistance is gauged by survival through multi-year dry spells, and fire tolerance is ranked by bark thickness and regrowth capacity. But resilience is only half the story. Invasiveness warnings are flagged for any species with a record of escaping cultivation or displacing native flora, and these are mapped into risk tiers ranging from negligible to regulated weed status. By overlaying these axes, growers can match species to site with confidence, avoiding costly mistakes or regulatory pitfalls. This framework sets the stage for the next chapter, where only trees that pass these environmental checks move forward for practical implementation. 7. Implementation begins with a focused 10 by 10 meter trial plot, a manageable scale for most growers aiming to test nitrogen-fixing trees as living fertilizer. The first step is a baseline soil test, measuring nitrate, ammonium, and organic carbon to capture the starting point. Seeds should be scarified by soaking in warm water for 30 minutes to boost germination rates. Inoculation with the correct rhizobia is critical. This step alone can increase nodule formation by up to 40%. For propagation, locally sourced seedlings or nursery plugs are ideal, but direct seeding is possible if good weed control is maintained. Planting densities vary by species, but a spacing of 2 meters by 2 meters is recommended for most trials, supporting healthy root development and minimizing competition. Once established, the transition from synthetic fertilizer follows a phased plan. Apply 50% of the usual nitrogen rate during year 1, taper to 30% in year 2 as the trees begin active fixation, and target 10% or less by year 4. Pruning and mulch incorporation begin in the second season, aligning nutrient release with crop demand. Annual soil testing each spring tracks nitrate and organic carbon gains, guiding further reduction of synthetic inputs. This approach empowers growers to evaluate tree performance in real conditions, compare yield and soil health changes, and refine management before scaling up. With clear steps and a structured timeline, the path from initial planting to near total fertilizer independence becomes both practical and measurable. Number 6. Honey mesquite stands alone as a nitrogen fixer built for the world's harshest climates. Its taproot can reach depths beyond 12 meters, anchoring the tree through years of drought and drawing water and minerals from layers untouched by most crops. In arid zone field trials, honey mesquite has delivered from 100 to 250 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare each year, a range that rivals the lower end of commercial urea programs, but without recurring chemical inputs. Annual dry matter yields reach 10 to 15 tons per hectare, with a substantial share returned to the soil as leaf litter and pruned biomass. The tree's pods serve as high-protein forage for livestock, while its dense wood is valued for fuel and charcoal. But with this resilience comes a warning. Honey mesquite's aggressive spread has led to invasive status in parts of Africa, India, and the American Southwest. Dense thickets can outcompete native plants and disrupt water cycles. To harness its benefits without the ecological risks, extension agencies now promote sterile cultivars and vegetative propagation. These are clones that produce little or no viable seed. Regular coppicing and targeted grazing further suppress unwanted spread, allowing farmers to exploit the tree's fertility without fueling an invasion. Buffer zones of 30 meters or more are recommended near sensitive habitats, and many regions require strict record-keeping of seed sources. For arid landscapes where most nitrogen fixers fail, honey mesquite offers a living solution, provided its use is paired with containment and vigilance. Number 5. Australian willow, Acacia melanoxylon, offers a pragmatic balance between timber value and soil fertility. Reaching heights of 15 to 30 meters and developing a taproot system that often dives deeper than 8 meters, this tree stands out as a dual-purpose asset for temperate zones. Annual nitrogen fixation in pasture trials ranges from 70 to 150 kilograms per hectare, a moderate but reliable contribution for farms seeking to reduce synthetic inputs. Above-ground biomass production falls between 15 and 25 tons per hectare each year, with much of that mass available as pruned mulch or future timber. Unlike rapid coppicing shrubs, Australian willow is managed through selective thinning every 5 years, a schedule that maintains wood quality while still returning nutrients to the soil. Its thick bark and robust root system confer notable fire tolerance, making it a resilient choice for regions prone to periodic burns. Timber from mature trees is prized for furniture and veneer, and this economic value can offset the slightly lower nitrogen gains compared to the top-ranking fixers. Pasture studies in southeastern Australia have documented consistent improvements in soil organic matter and a measurable rise in available calcium and magnesium after 3 years of establishment. For growers with an eye on both fertility and long-term wood harvest, Australian willow serves as a steady nutrient bank that also pays dividends at the sawmill. Number 4. Black locust, Robinia pseudoacacia, offers a rare combination of fast timber, bee forage, and a long-term nitrogen reserve for temperate farms. This tree is known for its vigorous early growth, often reaching 1.5 meters per year during the first 5 years, and for its ability to fix between 45 and 200 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare annually, depending on site and management. Black locust's deep taproot, which frequently extends beyond 6 meters, draws up phosphorus and potassium from subsoil layers, returning these nutrients to the surface ecosystem through its abundant leaf litter and branch drop. On fertile sites, annual above-ground biomass can exceed 30 tons of dry matter per hectare, a benchmark that supports both fuel wood and soil building goals. What sets black locust apart is its dual role as a source of high-value timber and as a foundation species for honey production. The tree's fragrant, nectar-rich flowers attract pollinators in droves, with mature stands supporting commercial apiaries and producing some of the world's most sought-after honey. For land managers, the ability to coppice black locust every 4 to 5 years offers flexibility, and repeated harvests of poles or firewood can be balanced against the need for a stable nitrogen bank. Its lifespan, 80 to 120 years, means a single planting can benefit multiple generations, while the bark thickens with age, boosting fire resilience and ensuring long-term survival. While the nitrogen fixation rate is more variable than in some top-ranking species, the multi-income potential, timber, honey, and soil fertility makes black locust a strategic asset for diversified, regenerative farms. Number 3. Leucaena leucocephala transforms tropical landscapes into living fertilizer factories, but with a caution flag waving in the background. In field trials across Central America and Southeast Asia, Leucaena delivers a steady 150 to 300 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare each year, enough to rival the upper tier of commercial fertilizer programs. Above ground, this fast-growing tree produces 20 to 35 tons of dry matter per hectare annually, feeding both the soil and livestock. Its foliage, packed with 20 to 25% crude protein, is a prized green feed for ruminants, supporting higher milk yields and rapid weight gain in silvopastoral systems. Coppicing every 2 to 3 years keeps the biomass stream flowing, while the deep taproot, often reaching beyond 5 meters, draws phosphorus, potassium, and trace minerals from subsoil layers, returning them to the surface as leaf litter and pruned mulch. This closed-loop nutrient cycling means less dependence on synthetic inputs and more resilience against drought and nutrient depletion. But Leucaena's vigor comes with a regulatory warning. The species is classified among the world's most invasive trees, with documented spread in Hawaii, the Philippines, and East Africa. Its prolific seed production allows it to colonize disturbed ground quickly, sometimes outcompeting native vegetation. Many regions now require the use of certified sterile cultivars, which eliminate seed set while preserving high nitrogen fixation and biomass yields. Legal restrictions vary, so growers must check local guidelines before planting. Despite the risk, Leucaena remains a cornerstone of tropical agroforestry, offering unmatched fertility, protein-rich fodder, and deep-rooted mineral uplift. For warm climate farmers seeking rapid soil improvement, it stands as a powerhouse, provided its spread is managed with care and legal compliance. Siberian pea shrub offers a lifeline for growers facing cold, dry seasons and relentless winds. Native to the steppes of Mongolia and Siberia, this shrub thrives where few other nitrogen fixers can survive, enduring winter lows of -30 degrees Celsius and persisting through droughts that cripple annual crops. Its root system drives 5 to 8 meters into the subsoil, tapping moisture reserves below the frost line and drawing up minerals that shallow-rooted plants never reach. Russian and Chinese shelter belt studies report annual nitrogen fixation rates between 150 and 250 kilograms per hectare, a steady supply that rivals the lower end of commercial urea programs. Above ground, Siberian pea shrub builds 6 to 9 tons of dry matter per hectare every year, much of it harvested as mulch or left as leaf litter to feed the soil. The real strength of this species lies in its role as a living windbreak. Rows of Caragana cut wind speeds, trap drifting snow, and slow evaporation, preserving soil moisture for crops planted in their lee. In the Altai Republic, one farm manager described barley yields as more stable since planting Caragana, crediting the shrubs with acting like a sponge during dry spells. Data from a Chinese grain farm showed that after 3 years of Karagana windbreaks, urea applications dropped from 120 to 60 kilograms per hectare, a 50% reduction that saved $70 per hectare and improved the bottom line. Unlike faster-growing subtropical fixers, Siberian pea shrub is rarely coppiced. Instead, light annual pruning maintains shape and maximizes sunlight for understory crops. Its lifespan can stretch beyond a century, providing a long-term fertility backbone for food forests and grain rotations in the world's harshest climates. For temperate and boreal growers seeking a resilient, low-input alternative to synthetic fertilizer, Siberian pea shrub stands as a proven, field-tested solution. And finally, in first place, Tagasaste, also known as tree lucerne, stands as the benchmark for living fertility infrastructure. On the volcanic slopes of its native Canary Islands and across the drylands of Western Australia, this evergreen shrub has redefined what a nitrogen-fixing tree can achieve. A 15N isotope study in Western Australia measured Tagasaste's nitrogen fixation at 587 kilograms per hectare per year, among the highest ever recorded for a perennial legume. This is not just a theoretical ceiling. Field trials with 400 plants per hectare have consistently returned annual nitrogen credits of 390 kilograms, with the best managed stands pushing even higher. The roots of Tagasaste are its hidden engine. Deep sinker roots extend more than 10 meters into the subsoil, pulling up water and minerals that shallow crops cannot access. At the surface, a dense feeder network scavenges nutrients and supports a broad, leafy canopy. This architecture enables hydraulic lift, redistributing moisture upward during the night and sustaining adjacent crops through drought. Farmers like John Ellis in Western Australia have reported a 25 kilogram per hectare increase in soil nitrogen after just 3 seasons of Tagasaste strips, allowing them to cut fertilizer use by a third. In Chile, orchard owners attribute summer irrigation savings directly to the deep-rooted water uplift of mature Tagasaste stands. Biomass production is equally impressive. Depending on conditions, annual dry matter yields range from 4.7 to 49 tons per hectare, with regular pruning every 2 years maintaining a productive canopy at 1 to 2 meters high. This short rotation coppicing not only provides high-quality mulch and fodder, but ensures a continuous return of organic matter to the soil. In wheat test plots, the incorporation of pruned residues led to measurable increases in soil organic carbon and a sustained rise in available phosphorus and potassium, proof of the tree's mineral cycling power. Tagasaste thrives across a wide pH spectrum from 4 to 7, tolerates temperatures from -9 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius, and shows strong resilience to drought and fire. Once established, it can persist for over 30 years, delivering fertility, organic matter, and water regulation season after season. Practical management is straightforward. Prune to maintain height, return trimmings as mulch, and monitor soil health with annual tests. In every measurable category, nitrogen fixation, biomass yield, labor savings, and resilience, Tagasaste leads the field. For growers seeking a proven, high-performance alternative to commercial fertilizers, this tree offers a path to self-sufficiency and lasting soil health. Across all 6 species, one truth stands out. Nature's own nitrogen fixers offer a living, regenerative alternative to chemical inputs. These trees don't just supply nutrients, they build resilience, cycle deep minerals, and sustain fertility year after year. As synthetic fertilizers drive environmental costs higher, these overlooked allies reveal a path to lasting abundance. Sometimes the most powerful solutions are already rooted in the landscape. Which tree surprised you most? Let us know below.